The final week before Major 1 starts this Friday, and last week we went 10 for 10 in the CDL pick'ems. We're going to try to make it 20 for 20. This is the biggest week before Major 1 because while you have teams like Atlanta FaZe and the Seattle Surge that are sitting, comfortable at 3-0, if you're in the 4 through 9 spot, a lot can change depending on how the matches go. So let's get right into the pick'ems. We're trying to go flawless again. Paris Legion versus the Los Angeles Thieves. This is going to be a tough one for Paris. LAT is one of the best hardpoint teams in the game. I think they currently have the second best hardpoint record. And while LAT's S&D and control are, pretty weak right now, Paris, they're not good at them either. So I don't think Paris is going to have a chance in this series. They're going to have to at least win one hardpoint. And I just don't know if I see it happening. So I am going LAT. I have 3-1 in the series. Minnesota Rocker versus the Atlanta FaZe. This is a tough draw for Minnesota just because they're currently sitting at 1-2 and they need every win that they can get so they don't have to start and lose bracket at Major 1. But FaZe just look too dominant right now. I have another 3-1 series. I would be shocked if Minnesota actually took this series unless they clutch up in both SNDs. Another big series, we have Optic Gaming versus Toronto Ultra, Optic Texas, excuse me. Optic's sitting at 1-2, and unfortunately, they have to go up against Toronto Ultra, and they need these wins. This is huge, but Toronto's not safe either, okay? They're 2-1, but if they lose this first series, they could be in a very interesting spot heading forward to the first Major, and I think this series is going to go down to the wire. Both these teams are very, I would say, on the same level from top to bottom. Toronto Ultra hasn't been performing, I guess, up to their standards in S&D, which is important for Optic because when it comes down to the hardpoint and control, I would say it favors Toronto a little bit, but it's very close. I think personally, this is a statement match for Optic Texas, so I do have them taking this. I think it's going to be a 3-2. I think they're going to clutch up in that Game 5 S&D. They need to turn around. This is the series to do it, to really gain confidence because they beat Paris. No one cares about Paris. But if they can beat Toronto, I think their future is bright. And I think they're going to kind of get back on track on where they need to be. Next, we have the Florida Mutineers versus the Seattle Surge. This is obviously a must win because Florida is currently sitting at 1-3. And on the other side with Seattle, they're comfy right now. Okay, they're top of the standings. And this is what we like to call trap game because I could see Seattle overlooking the Mutineers. Things have been going well for them. They've been clutching up. Maybe this is an off day for them. It can happen. In my opinion, it's not going to happen. I'm on the Seattle Surge train. I have them winning this series 3-0. After that, we have the Boston Breach versus NYSL. NYSL basically all but guaranteed to start in losers bracket. They are the worst hardpoint team in the game. They're, probably tied with Paris for just worst overall team in the game. I know now they have more reps with Royalty. I just don't think it's going to change that much. And while Boston isn't that great of a hardpoint team, they're still better than NYSL. Their S&D is flawless. They haven't lost an S&D in the Major 1 qualifiers, whatever you want to call it. I think that they will win this series. I know NYSL beat Boston in the kickoff. I think it's going to be a 3-1 victory in favor of Boston Breach. Subliners, they got to figure it out. I don't know what they can do at this point besides making a major team change. But I guess they're going to see it out, see how Major 1 goes, and then go from there. The Los Angeles Guerrillas versus the Minnesota Rocket. This is another huge matchup because LAG is currently in 7th, sitting at 2-2. Minnesota Rocker is 1-2, and they're sitting at 9th. Now, whoever loses this, it's most likely that they're going to be in the losers bracket. So this could go either way, in my opinion. Now, LAG currently has the best hardpoint record in the league. All right, if you don't want to say that they're the best hardpoint team, which I think they are, or they're tied with LAT, they are definitely a million times better than Minnesota Rocker. Now, here's where Minnesota can capitalize. It's going to come down to the S&Ds and the control because Minnesota, while they haven't looked like their normal Minnesota self in S&D, they're better than LAG at it. And the same goes for control. LAG's worst mode is control. So if Minnesota won any chance to win this series, it's going to be 2-3-5. But I think LAG is starting to hit rhythm. We know their hardpoint is dominant. I think that they're going to be able to close out at least one SND or the control. And Minnesota's hardpoint is so poor. I have LAG winning this 3-1, not letting it go to a game 5, securing their spot in the winners bracket. Wow, these matchups keep getting more and more exciting because we have Toronto Ultra versus Los Angeles Thieves. And honestly, Toronto, this is a tough week for them. They're only at 2-1. Okay, so even if they go 1-1 here, that's a 3-2. You would assume that they would get into the winners bracket with an overall record of 3-2, but they're playing against two very good teams, Optic on day 1 and then LAT on day 2. So if they go 0-2, they could find themselves in the losers bracket depending on how the rest of the results pan out. Now where do I go with this? LAT, I do think, is the stronger hardpoint team. The issue is Toronto is stronger in both S&D and control right now. LAT, they need to figure out one of those modes. And I will say this, I saw LAT scrimming S&D earlier today. They looked really good. They did. I'm not just saying that. I was at the compound filming some content and I was watching them play. I also don't know if Toronto have Cammy back. I'm assuming they will. I think he was sick over last week's matches. You know what? I gotta be confident in my boys. I do have LAT winning this. Wow. Let me do a double take because I currently have Toronto Ultra losing both series. If they lost both series, there's no way they lose both series, right? There's no shot. You know what? I'm sticking to my guts. I went flawless last week. I'm gonna do it again. I think LAT is gonna win this series 3-2. Toronto's gonna lose 2 heartbreakers back to back. I know that's very unlike them, but I do think LAT will control both of the hard points, and I think they're going to win in the game 5. That's the one S&D that they're going to win this series. Toronto, I'm sorry. Love y'all. I have you going 0-2 this week. I hope you could still make it into the winners bracket somehow, but we'll see how it pans out. The Seattle Surge versus the London Royal Ravens. Both of these teams are pretty comfortable right now in the standings. You have Seattle Surge 3-0. Well, technically they would be 4-0 because I have them winning. And then you have Royal Ravens sitting at 3-1. I just think Seattle's too strong. I really think that they have it down. I know they had a couple close series where Lamar had to clutch up, but I think that they're riding this high, this wave that they're on. I think that they will win this series. I have another 3-1 in favor of Seattle Surge. Optic Texas versus Boston Breach. This is another big one for Optic. They need to go 2-0 this week. They have 2 pretty hard matchups. I have them winning versus Toronto, and then this is what it comes down to. On the last day, you have them going up against Boston, and I think that this is a good matchup for Optic because while Boston is currently undefeated in S&D, their respawns are very poor, in my opinion, compared to the other top teams, and that's where Optic's going to capitalize. I think even though Boston hasn't lost in S&D, Optic can take one. They can take one, or they're just going to win both, Jesus Christ. Or they're just going to win all of the respawns. I have this in 3-1 favor for Optic, them ending out this major 1 3-2, and I think that actually gets them into the winners bracket. I'm maybe giving them good luck, or I'm jinxing them. So I'm sorry, because if they do well, y'all better be in the comment section saying, Enable, you are a genius. And if they go 0-2, well, I can't do nothing about that. Don't hold that against me. And finally, the last match of the weekend. I don't even know why this is a marquee match. I mean, it should be Optic versus Boston, in my opinion, because Atlanta FaZe, they're going to steamroll NYSL. I'm not confident. I don't like NYSL's roster. They're not performing up to standards, and they're going against the best team in the game, or one of them. And Sim's not even doing his thing. Like, he hasn't even went positive in any of these series, I believe. And FaZe still look this dominant. I think this is a series that Sim puts it together, gets his confidence back individually, and they steamroll NYSL. So those are my pickups, guys. We're trying to go 10-0 again, or 10 for 10 again. Let me know in the comment section below who you think is going to go undefeated this week. So that's it. Those are my CDL pick'ems. We're trying to go 10 for 10, the perfect week again. Let me know in the comment section below who you guys think is going to go undefeated. We're just going to have to wait and find out.